Mother Christophora is the abbess of the Monastery of the Transfiguration in Ellwood City, Pennsylvania. She's been abbess there for over 30 years. I was really glad for the opportunity to interview a monastic abbess, and I'm really grateful to Mother Christophora for her generosity. So I hope you'll enjoy this episode from my interview with Mother Christophora.
And the only thing I can think of would be the goal of the Christian life, and that would be unity with God. How to be united with God, of course, that's not reserved only for monastics, but perhaps it's more vivid, looking at the monastic life, or looking at someone that would leave the world and give up a typical kind of life of being born and being raised in a family, getting a good education, and then hoping to find a good job and make a lot of money and find a loving spouse who's very loyal and dedicated, and having 2 or 3 children and putting them through college and looking forward to a retirement, and then a retirement village, and then, nursing home, and then on to eternity. For the monastic, we skip some of those steps. In a way, it seems to people that we give so much up, but on one hand, that's true. On the other hand, we don't really give anything up. We just receive things in a much deeper, awesome way. For example, in a sense, we give up a family, but on the other hand, we acquire many families. Living together with the other sisters in a monastery, because most monastics live in monastic communities, monasteries. We become spiritually tied and united with the other women that we live with. And that's a bit of a mystery, a bit of a miracle. If you think of young people who fall in love, they have a lot of impetus. They get very excited, and they think about each other all the time, and they want to see each other. They want to be together, and hopefully, in our understanding, they get married and just dream of living their life together. So it has a lot of energy. For the monastic, that desire, that kind of energy usually comes in our energy towards God. We want to be with God. We like to pray. We like to be in church. As true as that is, there's also the reality that we have to live with other people, people that we don't particularly fall in love with, or maybe would not even choose to live with if we were in the world and had some choices of those things. But still, if we persevere, keeping God's commandments, going to church, receiving the sacraments together, receiving communion from the same chalice, and worshiping the same services, we start to be very united. And we actually form a family, a spiritual family, and we become very close. So in a sense, you see that we didn't give up a family. We gain a family. It's perhaps a little different than we think about. We also gain families in the offering of hospitality. Most monasteries do welcome visitors, lay people to come, who spend a few days with us, or perhaps longer. And our experience here in Ellwood City is that many, many families come, especially in the summer. And children love to come to the monastery. You might ask them why. They just very often, when parents say, okay, we're going to make our annual visit to the monastery, or we're going to be at the monastery this weekend, the parents will tell us that the children are just so excited. They can't wait to get here. It's another mystery, isn't it? If you describe, what are you going to do there? Some kids are, when they make their first visit, older teenagers, they think they get afraid. Oh, we're going to be so bored. What are we going to do there? But in reality, they usually have a great time. And small children, and they run around the grounds. We have some swings and so on for them to play on. But something else happens. It's a mystery. Something inside of them is being awakened. They like the quiet in the monastery. They enjoy the beautiful services. They enjoy the beauty of the monastery. We're really surrounded by beauty of the icons, beauty of the flowers. And children respond very well to that. I think they also respond very well to the order. In a monastery, things are very ordered. That might sound threatening to some people. They might think, "Oh, that's very strict. I don't want to live in that rigid life." But in reality, God created the world to be orderly. He put a lot of order in life. He has the sun rising and setting every day. There's a certain order, there's a certain rhythm. And children really want that around them. They prefer that. They prefer life to be orderly and have a rhythm. So I think they respond to that when they come here. So again, we give up things. What some people see as a freedom to make our own decisions, because they hear that there's something in a monastery called obedience, and that also can sound very frightening. But it's another thing that purifies us, that brings us closer to God. So as I say, the goal of monastic life would be unity with God. And that comes through this kind of living together, worshiping together, and this obedience to one another, so that we can become a little bit less self-centered. Most of us are very self-centered, what we want, when we want it, how we want it, what we prefer, what our opinions are. And those of you who are married, or those of you who keep jobs, you know that you can't always have your will. Certainly in a family we can't. There's times we might like to kick back and watch a movie, but the children are in a play that night, or there's a soccer game we have to attend because we love the children. We go with them. We go to support them. So there is a lot of obedience in the world. Perhaps we don't use that word and we think of it only as monastic life. But the whole goal of that is to become, again, united with God, so that we're less self-centered, more giving, more loving, and ultimately to be doing the will of God, because when we give up our will and try to help someone else, try to give ourselves to other people, hopefully through that we're doing the will of God. So that unity with God, I would say, is the goal of monastic life. And the second part of the question, why would someone do it? Another mystery we have here. Certainly we can be united with God in the world, and we should be, no matter where we find ourselves. If we're driving to work, very good time in the car where we're alone, or maybe even carpooling with one or two people. If we're alone, we can quietly pray as we drive. If we're with other people, we could listen to some audio recording of a spiritual lecture. There's many things available, or some liturgical music, or just try to have a conversation, with your buddies that you drive to work with, to try to make it a meaningful conversation. So that we're thinking about God, this unity with God in our lives, and things that we do as we approach our work. That God is present in the office as well as in the church. He's present in the elevator. He's present in everyone that we meet. So to be mindful of that, to remember God. But some people feel that as much as that can be done in the world, and we respect that it is done in the world, there are many holy people living married lives in the world, but some of us feel called to do that, to find that unity with God in the setting of a monastery. We tend to have perhaps less interest in so-called worldly things. Not that we condemn them in themselves, in and of themselves, are not necessarily bad, but the monastery setting itself can be very conducive to that unity with God that we have. We spend hours a day in church. We offer those prayers on behalf of the whole world. We offer those prayers when we're in the mood, as well as when we're not in the mood, when we're rested, as well as when we're tired. So it's kind of our work. It's a discipline but a beautiful discipline. As you may know, the great majority of the church services in the Orthodox Church are made up of psalms. They're read and sung at different times in the services, but that's really the heart of our liturgical worship. Those ancient words over and over and over, they seep into our hearts and in our minds and to our souls as monastics, and we breathe and these words, so we kind of have them in the background all the time. So it's those who are called to monastic life, again, another mystery. We can't always explain it, why me and not someone else. We sit at the table sometimes, our little group of 10 sisters from very different backgrounds, from very different parts of the country. More than half are converts, and reflect sometimes, why did we end up here? It's truly a mystery, but there's something inside of those who do come to a monastery that is calling them, deep inside, that's calling them to come away, come apart. As Christ said to his disciples, come apart for a while and pray and listen, and some of us are called to live our Christian life that way.
Hi again. I hope you enjoyed this episode from my interview with Mother Christophora. Please subscribe to get notified when new videos become available, which happens every Friday. And also, if you would, please leave a comment in the comment section below, letting me know what you thought of this video. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.